The thrilling sound of big open single-seater racing cars returned to Mondello on the 13th of June 2021 with the Finstown Castle Formula Boss Ireland Series. Eamon Matheson in the Jade sports car did one of his classic leapfrogging manoeuvres off the start, going ahead of Paul O'Connell's Dallara GP2 car and Fergus Faherty's Dallara F3. 15 cars made the start on this cloudy but warm summer's day. Matheson had actually built a little bit of a lead by the end of the first lap, and now Paul O'Connell was coming under huge pressure from his old car, the World Series Dallara, in the hands of Gerard O'Connell, no relation. Faherty had dropped back a little bit and had Michael Roach's full attention. Kildare teenager Karl O'Brien was leading the chasing pack in a Leastone, gaining some useful experience on home turf. At the back of the field, Mark Dempsey's OMS was leading the F3 Dallara of Derek Daly. Coming back in from the country, you can just see O'Connell challenging Matheson over the crest. O'Brien kicks up the dirt in front of Aaron Gaughran, the son of Tom, the sports car driver, in a sandwich between Michael Connolly's similar route and Sylvie Mullins' Dallara, with Peter Dwyer's Lola close behind. Daly was past Dempsey. Paul O'Connell and Eamon Matheson were side by side at the beginning of lap 3, but Paul had the line, and there wasn't space for a second O'Connell. Michael Roach had closed right up on Fergus Faherty. Karl O'Brien had made a bit of distance on Aaron Gaughran, and Dad was just ahead of Michael Connolly to keep an eye on him. And that tussle was presenting an opportunity for Sylvie Mullins. Jonathan Fildes had finally got the Lola going. Daniel Faherty, the brother of Fergus, was also late to get going, slotting in between Daly and Dempsey, but not on the same lap. He had qualified 9th. At the beginning of lap 4, Paul O'Connell was showing the potential he'd shown in qualifying and was stretching a bit of a lead. Gerard O'Connell had passed Eamon Matheson. Michael Roach decided to have a go at dipping Fergus Faherty's gearbox oil with his wing. It's great how these competitors support each other. Behind them, the pack was stretching out, but Mullins had made a space for himself, ahead of Michael Connolly. Peter Dwyer was still in touch with them, while in the distance Roche was sliding into 4th position ahead of Faherty. There was great action and sounds from all ends of the track. On to lap 5, and Paul had made good ground on Gerard, who was now fully free of Eamon. Michael was held slightly by the Jade on the corner, allowing Fergus to fight back a bit. Senior Gaughran was keeping a close eye on Junior. Could Sylvie burst this family bubble? Peter Dwyer and the Lola seemed to be keeping in touch with Michael Connolly's route, and Jonathan Fildes could just about benchmark himself against the other Lola from here. Daniel Faherty could do the same with Derek Daly, rotating on different laps but close together. Paul O'Connell seemed to brake very hard at the end of the main straight. Suddenly Gerard O'Connell seemed to have made a huge amount of ground. And behind them, Michael Roach was ahead of Eamon Matheson, into 3rd. Fergus Faherty had a look too, but decided not to go, and this allowed Karl O'Brien to get half a car length alongside him, but there just wasn't enough room for the next corner. In the distance, a great effort seemed to be being made in the GP2 car to get away from the World Series. While closer, Mullins had split the Gaughrans, and Dwyer was still about the same distance from Connolly. Fildes looked to be in trouble with the Lola, signalling Daniel Faherty to pass. Mark Dempsey's OMS was hitting great revs chasing Derek Daly. As we look to the leaders, completing lap 6, the GP2 does not look to be at full pace, and the World Series is right up behind. The newcomer is being held up, but not for long. There goes Gerard. Mark Dempsey is going to be one of the first people to see our new race leader, because coming in from the country, Gerard O'Connell is out in front. There is definitely a teething problem with the new arrival. On the main straight, the blue flags come out for Dempsey. We just see Jonathan Fildes pulling into the garage, and Gerard O'Connell is having a dream debut in the World Series car in Boss Racing, leading into lap 8 as the GP2 car loses further ground. It was a last-minute effort to get this car here. It will be formidable when it gets sorted. Roach and Faherty can smell the opportunity, followed by O'Brien, Matheson, Mullins, and Gaughran locking up a wheel. Dad will have spotted that. And Michael Connolly and Peter Dwyer seem to be maintaining a similar pace. These are great conditions for Daniel Faherty to gain experience of the F3 Dallara. And Derek Daly is about to have the World Series version fill his mirrors. Fergus Faherty looks like he's ready to pounce on Michael Roach as they work their way through the traffic. This could be the time for the Leastone as well. The Gaughrans are still spending quality time together. The Radical does look to be losing a bit of ground. And we're missing Michael Connolly's example. Peter Dwyer moves up a position. It looks like Daniel Faherty will be next to get an earful of World Series Nissan. Fergus has a look around Michael for second place at the beginning of lap 10. Karl O'Brien is in 4th in the Leastone. Paul O'Connell still in 5th. Sylvie Mullins 6th. Eamon Matheson 7th. Aaron Gaughran 8th. Tom Gaughran 9th. And Peter Dwyer completes the top 10. By lap 11, Gerard O'Connell is really starting to push the car to the edges of the track. He has a huge margin over second place Michael Roach, under constant pressure from Fergus Faherty. No hold up there for Karl O'Brien. In fact, he's closing in on the dueling pair. Our leader is still working his tyres, going into lap 12. Fergus will have to watch his own position soon as he maintains the attack on Michael. And Mullins is getting on up there too. Gerard O'Connell starts lap 13 as we look back for the second and third place battle. Karl O'Brien is up to 3rd. And Faherty is right down in the clutches of Mullins. His car looks like it's losing ground. Sylvie's through. Lap 14 begins. The World Series car looks untouchable in this race. Michael Roach is still second. And Sylvie Mullins is going up the inside of Karl O'Brien. The Dallara should be able to outdrag the Leastone. Oh no, they've touched! Sylvie spins, but there's damage on the Leastone. The Dallara looks to be in one piece, but it'll be tricky rejoining the track. Eamon Matheson does well to avoid him around the outside, and Aaron Gaughran goes up the inside. They've all inherited places. That's Derek Daly, who's really stretched a big advantage over Mark Dempsey since the beginning of the race. Lap 15 for our leader. It's a matter of concentration now. The pressure is off now for Michael Roach for the first time in this race. This will be a great start to his season. And third place will be a great finish for Eamon Matheson, who started this race so well. and there's definitely something wrong with Faherty's car. Aaron Gaughran lines up to go past, but he'll be sidelined later this lap with a brake problem. Second looks secure for Michael Roche, and he has a nice new livery for the occasion. Eamon Matheson third, always with a lick of flame into this corner. Sylvie Mullins is in fourth after overtaking Faherty. Fergus, he is hanging on in there in fifth. Gaughran is now sixth on the track as Gerard O'Connell starts the final lap. Michael Roach on his way to second place. Sylvie Mullins is making a late challenge for third place from Eamon Matheson. Fergus Faherty soldiering on in fifth place as Gerard O'Connell is the winner on his Formula Boss Ireland debut here at Mondello. Gaughran finishes in sixth, Daly eighth. Dwyer seventh. Mark Dempsey ninth. Mick Roach claims his second place. Daniel Faherty 10th. Eamon Matheson managed to hold off Sylvie Mullins to keep third, but he needn't have worried. Mullins was issued a 4-position penalty by the stewards after the race. So Fergus Faherty did claim fourth place after all. Gaughran moved up to fifth, and Dwyer and Daly were sixth and seventh. Back in the paddock, we got a few words from some of the drivers.
Got a great start. Yeah, car's handling well to touch. We've done a couple of adjustments in touch and changed the exhaust system on it. Yeah, had a great start. Kept into it was a fairly hairy the first corner. Seeing Sylvie Mullins beside me there and a couple of other lads there, but out the back straight. And yeah, very happy with the car now. Just a bit more seat time in it now again there. And yeah, I think we're getting there now. Yeah, we're getting to the root of the problem there what we had all last year. You know, so happy enough.
It was always going to be a bit of a challenge, taking a car in a week ago basically, and hoping we get through the weekend without a major strip down. It's not something that we normally do, to be fair, but the car got stuck in 6th gear in the race and couldn't downshift. So we've gone through a few of the parameters. Electronically it looks okay, probably a selector issue, I'd say, in the gearbox most likely. So look, it's, you know, best thing to do now is to park it up and start the old proper process of going through it for the next race weekend in whatever 3 or 4 weeks time, whenever that is. You take the positives from the weekend. I mean, the 2 pole positions, you know, actually made a start to finish touch, which was a big step forward for me. You know, the pace is pretty good, and you know, while the car is nowhere near its own potential, we'll say, you know, a little bit more work and a bit more time, and we'll get there.
I feel good for him, really. He was doing great in his first run in Boss. You know, proud of him. He's doing good.
It's a shame. It's a shame, but brakes fail coming out of the country up in towards the start of the entry of the S-Bends, so not much you can do. Just have to take it on the chin.
Eamon Matheson is a little bit camera shy. He's very hands-on with his own car though. And third was a great result at the start of the season. Dwyer is very proud of winning his class Boss 1 in 2020 and hopes to do it again this year.
The championship, yeah, trying hard to do it. Just got the car running on Friday. The car feels a lot quicker and better. The driver's just getting too old. He's aged. I need to go to the gym, and the only gym I go to usually is Jim Keogh's pub. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
Michael Roach is as ever modest about his second place in the first race of the season.
Yeah, second overall, good result, yeah. A few lads had problems there, of course, that benefit from it, but no, happy enough. Good result.
Have you done much development across the winter?
Not really, no, probably went backwards over the winter. I thought I was at the development, but then I actually had to go back again. But I just got the paintwork done and tidied up, and not really, no, same car.
Fortunately, Fergus Faherty had some spares left over from problem solving last year, which would sort a problem today.
Small bit of a gremlin come back that we had last year, a pad shift in the gear selector, so just select 6 gear and won't change. But in the last half the race stuck in 6 gear, so the car is flying, like it's what they say, it's generating super grip very quick, and then this gremlin come back into, so lucky we have the spare steering wheel, so we're ready to go for race 2.
Brother Daniel was making a start in Formula Boss 2 and looking forward to the second race.
Okay, so far a few little issues on the start there, but we got going and hopefully we got rid of the little gremlins now for the race 2 to see how we go.
Also making his debut in Formula Boss Ireland was Gerard O'Connell in the ex-Paul O'Connell Dallara World Series car. I think Gerard is having a good day.
I didn't even expect to finish first. We qualified 5th. And I'd have been more than happy to end up 5th, but that's just the way it happened.
So can you describe the sensation of driving a car like this on a track like that?
It's absolutely brilliant. I never drove anything but down. Well, I never drove a single seater before in my life.
Don't tell me you've not driven with downforce with that S-Mark.
Well, I don't think I could never get the speed to get that downforce to work on that. But no, the corner speeds and that there and the braking's completely different. Like it's completely all new to me. Like I just have to learn it.
He was looking forward to the afternoon's race.
No, I'm looking forward to race 2. We're actually starting 4th in the grid in race 2. So I'll see if we can do with that. Not happy enough, even if I finish 4th in the next race, I'll still be buzzing.
Some people weren't having quite such a good day. Despite actually making it to the grid for the second race, Sam Mansfield's F3000 Lola would have to be pushed aside before the start. 17 cars had earned their position on this race 2 grid, but by their nature these are challenging cars to run, and just 10 would drop the clutch at the lights. Even pole winner Paul O'Connell was missing from the front row of the grid, so Fergus Faherty was left with the task of making his car very wide to keep Eamon Matheson from coming up his inside and Gerard O'Connell from going around the outside. He did well, but it looks like the World Series car was just too fast off the line. Here's that start from Gerard O'Connell's onboard. You can just see the Jade nosing up on the inside of Faherty. A lot of understeer on the rubber debris on the outside of the track, but now Gerard can settle himself into position and we'll take a tour around the national track. You might think that the new racer was all on his own out there, but as we see coming onto the straight at the end of the lap, he has company. That's Michael Roche, Sylvie Mullins, Fergus Faherty with Karl O'Brien right behind, then Tom Gaughran, Eamon Matheson, Daniel Faherty and Peter Dwyer. And Mark Dempsey's had a spin! His wheels are on the gravel, but he's just about at the edge of the track. He's back on course. There were a number of interruptions at the start of the race, so perhaps his tyres aren't as warm as he expected. Oh, and someone else is in trouble at the first corner of lap 2. I think that's Daniel Faherty. That's a shame because he was right in the thick of things at the end of that first lap. That'll give Dempsey a bit of a race after his half spin because he's after going past. A little bit of oversteer here for O'Connell too. It takes a while for the track to kind of sweep clean to the lines of these big cars after the other races during the day. That front right seems to frequently smoke on that World Series car. Michael Roche is now missing, Sylvie Mullins is second, Fergus Faherty third, and Karl O'Brien is handling that little Leastone nicely in fourth. Eamon Matheson leads the sports cars, blasting down the straight ahead of Tom Gaughran there, 5th and 6th. Peter Dwyer 7th in the Lola, and Mark Dempsey did get out ahead of Daniel Faherty in the OMS, 8th. The Dallara F3 doesn't seem to be showing any ill effects of that spin at the beginning of the lap. Gerard O'Connell is really providing us with some of those big car sounds. Second, third and fourth places seem to have stabilised for the moment. Matheson appears to have gained ground on them at Tom Gaughran's expense. Peter Dwyer's Lola also sounding great. No grip problem for Dempsey now. But Daniel Faherty is catching him rapidly. The end of lap 4, and Sylvie Mullins hasn't quite lost touch with Gerard O'Connell yet. Fergus Faherty really working the curbs there. As Eamon Matheson's Jade screams down the straight, we just spot that Michael Roach is rejoining the track. There's just about 11 minutes of race time to go as Peter Dwyer crosses the start-finish line. At the end of the lap, Daniel Faherty has moved up ahead of Mark Dempsey into 8th position. Puff of smoke from that tyre again for Gerard O'Connell. And information there for Fergus Faherty from his pit crew. At least Michael Roach is confirming that his car is working well again. Mark Dempsey will be the first car to be lapped by the World Series. I wonder, will the traffic present opportunity for Sylvie Mullins to close in? Eamon Matheson and Michael Roach are running on different laps, but we can really see the remarkable straight line acceleration of the Jade here. And talking about speed differential, Gerard O'Connell laps Mark Dempsey out the back of the track. At the end of the same lap, Gerard has a big lock-up. A reminder that to finish first you have to finish. Mullins, Faherty and O'Brien are all safely past Dempsey by the main straight. And Fergus is quite close to Sylvie. Roach is clear of Matheson despite that acceleration advantage. The open-wheeled cars get it back on the corners. And there's another sports car that can really blast down the straight. Tom Gaughran's Radical. Peter Dwyer is going to have to keep pounding in the laps if he wants to stay ahead of Daniel Faherty. That looks like a conservative line. Is Gerard O'Connell minding his tyres? Sylvie's getting a little bit closer. He may be spurred on by the close attentions of Faherty on the last lap. Further back the field, definitely looks like both Fahertys are on the move. Daniel making ground on Peter Dwyer. Oversteer from the World Series car. Sylvie can smell an opportunity. And just look at the way Karl O'Brien drifts that little Leastone around the corner in 4th place. In 7th place, Peter Dwyer is going to have to start looking in his mirrors, because here comes Daniel Faherty. And he's going to have to keep his eyes peeled, because that's Gerard O'Connell about to lap him. The World Series car does seem to have a good margin for dealing with the traffic, ahead of the F3 cars of Mullins and Faherty and the Leastone of O'Brien. This seems to be O'Connell's favourite place for passing. Peter Dwyer is next, and he's squealing the tyres in the Lola. Unfortunately, we've lost Karl O'Brien at this stage. He's had 2 very impressive performances today. Fergus can check on brother Daniel's progress as he laps him on the straight. What a shame Michael Roach's car had issues. Runner-up in the first race, he could have had a very strong start to the championship. There's still a bit of fight in the old Lola. The World Series doesn't quite catch it on the way out the country. Gerard O'Connell will have to wait another couple of corners on the way back towards the paddock to get Peter Dwyer. I think that little hold-up may have helped Sylvie Mullins in the F3 close a little bit. Michael Roach may be down a couple of laps, but he's really working the curbs inside and out. With Karl O'Brien gone, Eamon Matheson is up to 4th. Tom Gaughran is up to 5th. Mark Dempsey had been up to 8th, but Michael Roach had gotten onto his lap and was now ahead of him and taken the position. At the end of lap 13, Sylvie Mullins was really getting close to Gerard O'Connell. Were the tyres going off in the big car? With just 3 minutes on the clock, were we going to see a late challenge for the race win? You can see the World Series car getting a little loose in the rear end, even with gentle throttle inputs. At the end of lap 14, the gap looked similar, but Sylvie was still on it. Fergus Faherty will be relieved to have solved those gremlins from last year which had returned during the first race. A 3rd and a 4th from the day would be good results for Eamon Matheson sports car. And Tom Gaughran looked set to collect a 2nd, 5th place of the day. Behind him, Sylvie looks ready to spring a move. There's just over a minute left on the clock. That front right locks up again going into the first corner of lap 16. He checks his mirror for Sylvie. Gently on the throttle over the crest. There's traffic ahead. A little bit of opposite lock. It's Tom Gaughran ahead. He'll be quick on the straights, but maybe a little slow on the corners. The Radical yields. But that's not an ideal line. Sylvie locks up, trying to get through too. It doesn't really work out well for the F3 driver. Can he get a toe off the Radical? A slight reprieve for the World Series car. With just 20 seconds to go, this will be the last lap. Sylvie passes the sports car exiting the first corner. Once again, Gerard has to feed in the throttle gently coming in from the country. Mullins comes in with a very fast line on the final corner. He takes all his momentum onto the straight. And then the World Series seems to slow going to the line. Looking back at the onboard, we see that the World Series was running out of fuel. Those extra warm-up laps had nearly cost him the race. That was very close. A dream debut for Gerard O'Connell in Formula Boss Ireland. 3rd place went to Fergus Faherty in a return to form. fifth to Tom Gaughran. Michael Roche worked hard for that 8th place. Daniel Faherty got issued a penalty and got pushed down to 7th. Mark Dempsey was 9th. He's enjoying great reliability from the OMS. Considering he was stranded away from it during lockdown, that's a great achievement. Peter Dwyer was elevated to 6th. And Eamon Matheson was 4th. Back in the World Series car, Gerard O'Connell didn't even have enough fuel to do a lap of honour. What an exciting end to a great day's racing. Looking forward to being back at Mondello in July.